about it. Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about
JSpire
it.
Live.
Don't you wanna talk
And
about
now,
it? Let's talk
Miss
about it.
JSpire.
Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it. Don't you wanna talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Fill Up Friday Live. Welcome to JSpirations Live Fill Up Friday. I am your host and creator of JSpirations Live, Mrs. J Spire. So excited that you guys are on with us tonight. I hope that you had an amazing week. I know it was Valentine's Day this week, and so if you celebrate, I hope that you had an amazing time and that not only do you feel loved on Valentine's Day, but that you feel loved each and every day. If you are catching the replay, welcome as well. Please be sure to comment. Let us know that you are here. Let us know that you're catching the replay. And let us know what you filled up on as you are watching and following the conversation. So, you guys, go ahead and start to drop into the comments what you filled up on this week. If you didn't fill up on anything and you felt like you needed something, drop that in the comments and let us know what you needed. And for those of you who are new, let me go ahead and share a little bit about JSpirations Live and Fill Up Friday Live. So, JSpirations Live is a motivational podcast. We like to spread motivation, inspiration, and some Jspiration. It is a platform where we come to engage, where we come to talk to real people about real things, about things that matter, about everyday things. We have everyday conversation. Sometimes we're looking at celebrities and we're watching their lives and we think that it's perfect, right? Or we're even watching on social media and just watching what people post, how they post. They're always posting that things are going well. And sometimes when you see things like that and things aren't going well for you, sometimes you feel like, what's happening? Am I the only one that's experiencing life like this, right? But you are not. So this platform gives the opportunity for family, for engagement, for relationships, and for transparency, right? We want to encourage you and to let you know that we are all going through a lot of the same things, that life is lifing, and that you do not have to do life alone. So, Mrs. J Spire, what is Fill Up Friday? Well, Fill Up Friday is a time where we come together at the end of the week after we have been parenting, we have been working, we've been driving kids here and there, we've been dealing with other people's issues and concerns and situations. And by the end of the week, sometimes, maybe not you, but sometimes I am running on empty. Sometimes I'm just thinking the glass is definitely not half full and I need something. And so Jspirations Live Fill Up Friday was born, where we could come together and we could talk about what the week looked like. Right? We could talk about what we filled up on, or we could talk about what we didn't fill up on, right? What didn't we get? But we hope that by the end of the night, the end of the podcast, that if you came in empty, then when you leave, that you are full, 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 and that you're able to continue to pour into yourself, and then that you're able to pour into someone else as well. Good evening, Lucy. I know we have some other people watching, so I can't always see, but if you want to drop in the comments that you're here, that's great. If not, welcome anyway. So tonight, I know I posted a lot, not a lot, but I posted some this week about Valentine's Day and really just, being confident, even if you don't have anyone to celebrate it with, and to make sure that you're celebrating yourself. Posted some other things as well, but one of the things that really stood out to me as I was thinking about what am I going to talk about this week. So this week I had the opportunity to be on travel for work. And so, when you're traveling and you're in a hotel, you just get a lot of quiet time, right? You get some time to spend some time with yourself. Sometimes you get the opportunity to have conversations that hey, Don, good evening, conversations that you don't always get to have because you don't have time, and really just some time to reflect and think without any interruptions. And so it's been one of those weeks for me where there were times where I was sitting in my feelings and it was good, and sometimes when I was sitting up, in my feelings and it wasn't so good. But there's a couple things that came from some of the conversations that I was able to have this week. Let me jump into the comments first and see. So Lucy says she filled up on other people's issues that stayed in my head most of the night. Okay, Lucy, that's not good. We need you to know what your capacity is. And we have to just let people do them, right? We'll talk about that a little bit later. Hey, Aunt Ruth, I'm so glad that you are watching. I've been calling you and you haven't been answering, so I'm gonna call you, but I don't want to get off task. So one of the things that I posted on Monday as I was just sitting in class and just thinking about a lot of things, and then after class, just trying to reflect on some things and figure out how I was going to use what I was learning this week. And then especially like coming into Valentine's Day, right? And thinking about how some people are sad on that day, right? Because they don't have anyone to celebrate with and, things like that. And if you don't celebrate, that's fine. But there are people who actually feel that way, right? So I posted, you are worthy of all your desires and don't let anyone tell you different. And so I was like, okay, that was a little bit for me. And then it was a little bit for, maybe somebody else that needed it, but it was a little bit for me as well, right? But then today, as I was driving home again in my quiet time, and a conversation I had earlier this morning, I started thinking about the word commitment. And it did take me back to the post from Monday when it says you are worthy of all of your desires and don't let anyone tell you different. Oftentimes, when we think about the word commitment, most people, not everybody, but most people go right to relationship. And when I say relationship, usually they go right to like an intimate relationship, right? Husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, right? We go right to those intimate relationships when we start to think about commitment. But as I was thinking about commitment today, I started to think about the commitment that I have made to myself and the commitment that I have made with God, right? And so, we're making these commitments to God. We're telling God, God, I'm committed to following your will, following your way. We say things like, God, we know you are carrying us. We know that we have our purpose in you, right? We talk about all these things, and then something happens in our life. Some job, some person, some situation comes, and we get all out of sorts. And we start making decisions or doing things, participating in things that we said that we were not going to do, right? Because things start to look different on the other side. But we lots of times we know if we fall to something, if we do something one time, not all the time, but if we do it one time, there's a great percentage that we'll do it again, right? Um, so I started thinking about like some of the commitments that I had made to myself based on a conversation that I was having with someone. And this person said, well, you don't, and I'm paraphrasing, but they were pretty much like, you can trust me, right? You can trust me as we're having this conversation. And I stopped and I said to the person, this isn't about you, right? This has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with me, right? And it has to do with the standards that I have set for myself. And that's where the word commitment started coming into my mind, that when we set out to do something, regardless of what it is, we're making that commitment to ourselves. And oftentimes we will break the commitment that we have to ourselves to pacify, to satisfy someone else, right? Or to get something that we think is better than what we have committed ourselves not to do, or to do, right? And so tonight I want to encourage you that as you are moving through life, right? Commitment is important. We're often committed to our spouses, we're committed to our jobs, we're committed to our children, and we give 100%. We're committed to relationships, not just intimate relationships, but we're committed to friendships. We're committed to partnerships that we make, maybe in the community or wherever we're making them. We're committed to things that we're doing at church. Whatever it is, those commitments that we say, I have to do it, I have to be there, I have to be that way, right? Because things aren't going to work out if I'm not there. Well, tonight I am encouraging you to make that same amount of commitment to yourself. I'm encouraging you not to waver in things that you are committed to, and standards that you have made for yourself, and goals that you have made for yourself, and things that you have started that maybe you put down. Pick it back up. Be committed to doing what you say that you are going to be and do for yourself. Be committed to standing, as the young people say, standing on business, right? Even though we've been standing on business, the older people, for our whole lives, but in standing on business and being committed to what we say that we are going to do, to who we say that we are going to be. Now, listen, there have been times in my life, I'm sure there's been times in your life where you have said that you were not going to do something, you were not going to go, you were not going to eat that brownie, you were not going to, whatever it is that you said you were not going to do. Most of us have done some things that we said that we were not going to do, right? But as we get older and as we mature, we have to be committed to ourselves as well. As a matter of fact, that is the only way that we're going to be totally committed to someone else, right? Or to something else. Because why? Right? How can we're oftentimes more committed to our jobs than we are. Yeah, and right. And we do have slips. And so if we have a slip, you can't just, or are you telling me to slow down? I'm not sure which one. But we are going to have slips in life, absolutely, right? And when we have those slips, the goal is to be resilient and to get back up and keep going, not just to lay there or stay there or continue to do it over and over and over again, right? But to be dedicated in the commitment that we have for ourselves. Oftentimes, you guys, we we have a job, right? And so we're committed to going every day. We get up on time, we get there. We don't want to use our sick leave, we don't want to use our vacation time, because they need us and we have to be there, right? Because things aren't going to work if we're not there. Things aren't going to be the same. So we give this level of commitment to other things that we won't give to ourselves, for things that we want for ourselves. Now, yes, there are things that other people want for us, And they'll say things like, well, I don't want this for you. I don't know why you don't want this for you. Or I don't know why you can't do A or you can't do B. Now, we all know that anything that we do and we do it for someone else, 9 times out of 10, it will not last, right? Let's just be transparent. My mother, all the time, matter of fact, before I got on here, she said something to me about my weight, right? And it got me all out of sorts. And I was late coming in and couldn't get my stuff to get right on the computer because I got a tad bit, tad bit upset, tad bit distracted, right? But I remember, and it's not that I don't want to lose weight, right? We talk about things on this show, we be transparent, we talk about things that matters. But it has to be, I have to get it in my mind and I have to be committed to doing it because I want to do it, right? I can't do it for anybody else because it will not last. I remember there was a time where I would go on these 3-day diets and go on these things because my mom would want me to do it, or somebody would say, the doctor would say, oh, you have to do this. And I would go on it and I would do it, but it wouldn't last, right? And then there was a time where I decided that I wanted to do it, right? And I wanted to do it. And so I lost it. I did it for myself and I did it the right way and it worked out, right? And I lost it, right? Because I wanted to do it and I kept it off for a really long time and then I picked it back up. But when you are committed to something, it's something that you have to be committed for yourself. You can't necessarily do it for somebody else. Now, somebody else may say, I'm going to do it because this person wants me to do it, or I'm doing it for this person. But everybody isn't like that, right? So what I'm encouraging you tonight is to be committed to what you have set out to do. Is it okay to have somebody else in mind? Absolutely. But tonight, when I'm talking about commitment, I'm talking about if you say you aren't going to do it, or you say you are going to do it, don't allow anyone else to sway you out of it, right? When I was having a conversation with someone today, I said, I have set standards for myself, right? So regardless of what you feel like you need to do, or you feel like you're capable of doing. And so even if we come together in this conversation or in this juncture or in this venture or whatever, well, you don't have to worry about me because I'm going to do this, right? And that's fine. But you have to let that person know that it's not about you. It's about a standard that you have set for yourself. And that's where that commitment is. Because if you are easily swayed, right, then what's going to work out? Is it going to work out in your favor, right? Because like I said before, like the young people say, standing on business, we have to be solid. We can't just go standing on any type of ground, right? We can't go standing in the sand, right? We have to be standing on a rock. And so that's what commitment is. Commitment to me is, and I'm not going to look it up in Webster, but the commitment for me is being dedicated to something, right? Being, again, using the word commitment in the definition, but being committed to it, being dedicated to it, right? Being intentional about completing it, being intentional about being in it, right? Being intentional about being a part of it, whatever it is, right? And so that's what I'm encouraging tonight as I was driving home and just thinking about some of the conversations and thinking about how committed and dedicated I have been, right? Or I am to other things and to other people. And sometimes thinking about, well, I'm just going to possibly go ahead and do it because that may help them or that may work out better for them, or maybe it will work out. No, I am going to stand on the rock. I am going to stand on the commitment that I have made for myself. I am going to stand on the standard that I have set for myself and how I want to move, right? So Lucy asked the question, what is the definition of commitment? Well, Webster's gives a definition, right? But it may not be how you feel about commitment, right? Sometimes we have to write our own definitions, like we have to write our own stories, right? And sometimes it depends on your perception of it. Sometimes it depends on, Lucy says it means firm without lack, right? So, for me coming in and talking with you guys about commitment tonight is not about thinking about intimate relationships, because that's where we usually go with it, but it really is about thinking about what commitment have you made to yourself about what you are going to do or what you are not going to do, right? And what standards you have set for yourself. And are you going to sway, and are you going to be swayed regardless of the conversation, right? Regardless of the temptation, regardless of the statements that someone else may give you or tell you? What are you standing on when it comes to yourself? So I love you guys. I hope that you had an amazing day. I hope that you had an amazing week. Again, Valentine's Day, they call it the day of love, but I hope that you guys are loving on yourself and loving on each other every single day, and that you are committed to making the best decisions, to making the best choices for yourself. I want you all to have an amazing weekend. I want you to practice some self care. I want you to do some things that make you feel good, that make you happy, and that fills you up. And so I will see you guys right back here next Friday night at 8 o'clock p.m. for Fill Up Friday. Fill Up Friday Live. And I hope that when you come back next week that you are full, that you are not coming in on empty. But if you are, I hope that when you leave, that you are filled to capacity and that you are running over. I love you guys. I love you guys with the love of Christ. Enjoy the rest of your night. And as always, be JSpire.